Yeah,
It's like
I
insane
agree.
amounts of power creep. Yeah. So yeah, like for example, this fusion spell that you have up, I purposely made it not once per turn because I felt like if it's once per turn, like you might just get screwed by an Ash and then like your turn's over, or like there's a lot
True.
less. Anyway, yeah. Plus,
I
I thought
haven't
like
read it yet. I like the Keck
yeah,
W. That's my favorite part so far.
yeah. Plus, yeah. So I got a lot of obviously a lot of. I actually photoshopped this artwork. It's literally black magic ritual with ref.
Oh shit, it is too. Yo, that's actually hot.
I just tinted ref to be purple, and then I put on top of the black magic ritual, like the OG
I
magician black magic
fully
ritual
didn't
spell.
notice. Yo, that's big brain. That's sick. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna read it out loud now because I too am recording now.
Yeah, so the inspiration behind this card is I want it to be like the Shadal fusion to El Shadal fusion, right? So
Yep.
Secrets of Dark Magic is El Shadal fusion. I want this to be the Shadal fusion
Yep, I
version of
agree.
yeah.
We do need one. We do need one. So, fusion summon. I activate one of the following effects. We've got two. Fusion summon one fusion monster from extra egg using monsters from hand or field as fusion material, including a Dark Magician monster that it lists as material. If you do, its name becomes Dark Magician, so kind of like Ref. Also, during the turn this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra except monsters that mention Dark Magician. If you control or reveal in hand Dark Magician or a monster that mentions it, you can also use monster in your deck. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the idea behind that is I didn't want it to be splashable, that splashable in other decks. So I said like if you want to use fusion materials from deck, you have to reveal a Dark Magician or either have like a Dark Magician like monster on your field or reveal one in hand, right?
Yep.
So it's like, all right, so if you want to put this package, you got to commit to like several Dark Magician cards, like
Yeah,
not
you gotta
just
at least play like
no.
Illusion of Chaos Soul's Rod for like this to be viable. Which at that point you're playing DM, so it's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, like I'm okay. Like if you want to make like a hybrid Buster Blade or Dark Magician deck, like this card can fit right in, right?
That's
Like
true. That's true.
I'm okay with that. Like
Very
I'm not
Yugi.
saying, yeah, exactly. And then the second effect.
All right, so second effect is Ritual Summoning. Ritual Summon level 7 or higher Dark Spellcaster Ritual from hand, deck, graveyard, or face up Banished. Yo, a Shizu. Playing it for a Shizu cards. By tributing monsters from hand or field, including a Palladium monster, Dark Magician, or a monster that mentions it, whose total levels equal or exceed the level of that ritual monster. If you do, its name becomes Dark Magician. If you control or reveal a DM monster that mentions it, you can also tribute monsters from your deck. Big.
Yeah. So basically, like if you have a Dark Magician monster or monster that mentions it on the field or in your hand, you can basically use materials from deck, right? And then it's like a one card like. I mean, technically it's 1.5 cards, right? You still need like
Yeah,
to have a like something to reveal if you want to fuse or ritual
I
summon from
think that
deck.
makes it way more balanced as well. Though I like that.
Yeah, so the idea is obviously like just like Secret Dark Magic, you choose one. You want a ritual summon, or you fusion summon. The same idea I had here was like, oh, pick one, and then yeah, just let it do it from your deck. Um,
I like it. It's
yeah,
busted.
yeah, and the idea behind ritual summoning from the banished pile is like, if you have, let's say we played magician, Dark Magician of Chaos, right?
Mm.
Which is like one of the better ritual monsters, like, and let's say it gets banished off a bestial or whatever, like, oh, you can ritual summon it back from your banished pile, like,
Yeah, that's sick.
basically, yeah. One of the things I wanted to, so I put out I sent you 3 cards, right? Basically. One of the things I want to cover is not just being able to actually access our boss monsters, which we haven't been able to without like ref, but also like have some amount of recursion from the banished power and like not get completely fucked by bestials and like
Yes.
getting banished, right? So that
Yeah.
was kind of the idea behind this is like, okay, well, if your bestial like they might banish your dark magician, but hey, you can still get your dark magician of chaos
Yeah. Exactly.
on, like, yeah. So that was part of the idea from there. So in the second effect, I do not put the restriction of you can only you're locked in this only special summoning monsters from the extra deck that have dark magician. I wasn't sure if that was that needed. I felt like it was more important to have that because the fusion monsters I feel are way more powerful and
Yeah.
busted than the ritual monsters. So that's why I didn't really feel like I needed that clause. But I'd be okay to put that clause in the second effect.
No, I think it's fine
Uh,
the way it is. You can summon Chaos Max with this, right? That's pretty fucking sick.
yeah, level 7 or higher, dark
Yep.
spellcaster.
We're going into it.
And
Big
and
Chaos
obviously it
Max.
requires you to tribute like either Palladium monsters, Dark Magician, or cards that mention it. So it's like you have to commit. You can't if you want to have this engine, you have to commit
Mm.
like a decent number of those kinds of cards in your deck, like not just like one card, right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Um,
It makes it so like it's not as splashable. We love to see that.
Yeah, it's like you could probably make it like a 9 or 10 card engine, like if you want to put in another deck. So like three of these, like three Illusion of Chaos, like one Vanilla
Hmm.
Dark Magician, like maybe three rods, and then you're good. Or
At that point, I'm
a
kind of
rod
like
and two
fine with
souls,
that.
for
Hey.
example. Yeah, it's like I'm okay if you want to put this in other decks as long as it's not like like three cards, as long as it's like a
Hmm.
sizable chunk of your deck, right?
Yeah. By
Um,
then, I'm like, you know what? They're playing DM. Fuck it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So that yeah, and I did not make this card once per turn. So theoretically, because we have so many like cool like boss monsters, I feel like it'd be cool to end our board with more than just one, right? So
Yeah.
theoretically, you can Rod, search this, play it, uh, get a fusion or ritual out, and then use Soul Servant to immediately like get it back, and then play it again,
Oh
right?
my god, that'd be so good.
Yeah, or if you open multiple copies, like so, I'm kind of like I don't know if you remember old school Yu-Gi-Oh from the early 2000s, but like it used to be that all spells were like not once per turn, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, like some of the broken ones, like Rhoda, like became limited because. But I feel like monster effects in general, like I feel like good card design in Yu-Gi-Oh, which should be monster effects should be once per turn, but spells and traps should not. That's my theory on
Yeah.
how like good design in Yu-Gi-Oh should be.
It makes sense because you can play like unlimited spells while like your monsters, not that they're strictly one normal summon, but you know, most
Yeah,
at least old school monsters was you normal summon to like that's your normal summon, and then you could still play out all your spells because they're spells. You just slap them out.
yeah. So yeah, and I mean the name Dark Magical Fusion Ritual. I mean it's kind of weird. I felt like I wanted fusion in the title just so that it can
Mm.
be affected by cards like Chimera Flesia and like the Red Eyes Meteor Dragon.
Oh
All those
yeah,
cards that call for cards that have fusion in its name. Um, yeah, so that's why the name's kind of janky. It's like I felt like I had to force the word fusion in there. So
yeah. I get it. I
um,
get it. I dig it.
yeah, yeah. So that's the idea here. And the interesting thing about making the monster's name Dark Magician, oh, it's now protected by Eternal Soul, right?
Yes, that is big. That is big.
Yeah, which
That
like
that
makes
could
it
be
hard
really
now.
good for
Like
some of the weird fusions. Some of the
yeah, like let's say you made Dragoon. Oh, wouldn't that be broken? Like Dragoon can't be targeted, destroyed, and now it's not affected by card effects. Like,
Yo.
well, I feel like Dragoon is. I don't know, man. Like you see, like cards like Sprite Smashers, right? Like they're Sprite Red. Like there's so many ways to like just stop Dragoon. I feel like the fact that it's like can't be targeted, can't be destroyed is like it's. I still feel like it can be outed way too easily.
Yep.
So that so having that plus Eternal Soul like could help you do that.
Yeah.
But
Suddenly,
the
droplet, dark ruler don't matter. TTT. Like so much just becomes irrelevant.
yeah, it's like but you can still beat over it. You can still Zeus. You can still beat over it, right?
Yeah.
You can still take out Eternal Soul, right? And then like try to take out so there are ways around it. It's just like, I feel like we need to have like a scary presence because there's how many fucking cards can out Dragoon, right?
I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah.
All right, let's
So
look at one of your links because you got two,
right.
right?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. So
Magician's
I saw
Apprentice.
yeah. So I saw your other video where you were roasting. I feel like people like trying to shoehorn synchros and XCs into Dark Magician. I feel like I don't know, like Dark Magician. I felt was, I mean, I'm an anime enjoyer. Like fusions and rituals should be the focus, right?
Yeah, because
Like
that's very
I don't,
much old school
yeah,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I don't think we should be doing like XCs and synchros. Like leave that to, you know, uh, whatever Stardust decks or whatever. Like
We devs have XZs though. Like Blue Eyes kind of got the synchros, and we kind of got the XZs, and like that's just kind of how it is.
yeah, and I feel like Link should just be a supporting thing. So
Mm.
the idea behind this Link one is basically it's supposed to be a replacement for Artemis, Link Spider, and I'm Duck. Like that's the point of this Link one that I made here.
Great.
Right? So yeah, you can go ahead and read it.
Oh, so yeah, we play multiple of this because it's just DM or one monster that mentions it. So you could just play this as you said, replacing all those cards. That's great.
Yeah.
So you can use Dark Magician monster or Palladium monster in hand. All right, that also fixes the whole like, oh look, I've opened up my vanillas or my Palladiums. Like, what do I do? That's
Yeah,
really
I
good.
think in your other video you mentioned someone had a similar effect, right?
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, now you can, if you want to run 3DM, you can.
Yeah, exactly. 3DM is viable now, right?
If you wanna like run all the Palladiums, right? Like go for it, right?
Yep.
So that was the idea behind this, because like Dark Magician doesn't have that many extenders or like ways to get bodies on the field. So this is like, well, you have all these bricks, you might as well make them like actually do something.
Yeah,
not be
exactly.
bricks.
Especially because you could link away DM from hand, right? Summon this, and then it used this effect when this card summons, set a spell trap. Let's say they imperm it. You can just freaking send a Palladium from your hand, link it to another one because it's a downward arrow, right? You can just do it again from hand.
Right, but it's I did make this hard once per turn. So
Oh,
if you do get imperm, like, oh well, you
you're
can't use
right.
the
You're
effect.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
you're right.
I do feel like that'd be too abusable to like
True.
summon 3 of these and like get 3 searches. Like, yeah, yeah. So I do think like these support monsters should be once per turn.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes
So
sense.
I set it in the column because that way, like, you know, Ghost Ogre can technically like getting this popped means that like its effect won't resolve. I just felt like it needed like you know, some amount of like counterplay. But also I'm of the opinion that like link monsters should have their link arrows mean something other
Yeah.
than just like where you can summon more shit. So I said, oh, it's a downward arrow in the same column, right? So set the spell trap in the same column.
All right, set it. Yeah, in the zone this card
Yeah, so
points
it
to.
actually like technically uses its link arrow, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Wow,
yeah,
it
it's not just
plays into Mech Knight. GG.
yeah, but
Oh, if it was a trap or quick play, you can activate it that turn. Great. So setting Eternal Soul is like really good off this as well.
yeah, that was one of the biggest like missed opportunities of like Magician Salvation.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
set
yeah.
Eternal Soul from deck.
Oh.
No, activate it from deck. You know, like fucking
Why did it
Juche
do
can
that?
deactivate it from deck, right? What
Yeah.
Virtual World came out what 2020 and 2019, right? They can activate their shit from deck. Why can't we, right?
Bro, I waited for a damn field spell for years and I was so hyped. And then when I was reading it, I was like, what? I was like, this. It had so much text that I was like, it's got to do something. And I was like, how does
Yeah.
it do nothing? With all this text, it does nothing.
Yeah. And
Anyway.
the final effect is a spicy one.
Oh, so when it's in grave, you can quick effect, tribute DM, or a monster that lists it, and summon this out. That's really good. That can be like
So
rod dodging stuff as well.
Yeah, so that's basically like Link Rebo. You know how we love Link Rebo?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, so I'm basically like trying to combine all the best of the random Link ones that we have into like archetype specific card. Because
Right.
you know DM likes to run skill drain, right? And just like, well, literally dodge skill drain.
Oh
Like,
shit, dodge your own skill. Yeah, okay, that's huge. Oh fuck. Like I was like, yeah, rod dodging effects by like getting imperms, but I didn't even think about like normal rod, use effect, chain this. Oh, that's actually correct. Okay.
yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, you might say it's a broken card, but like that, but we have to be able to compete. Like I feel like
Yep.
even with these cards, we're still not going to be like tier 0. Like
Oh,
we're gonna be
yeah.
like a tier 1 at best, and like and who knows for how long, right? Before we get power crept again.
Yeah, and then people are still gonna like, negate half the shit we do anyway, so
Yeah, so
that's
I feel
fun.
like, yeah, with these 3 cards, it's like I want Dark Magician players to no longer feel like we're missing a big thing that we need
Yeah.
or want, right? So
I dig
anyway.
it. I dig it. And yeah, just making the useless cards useful in the hand by linking from hand. Like, I'm pretty sure the what are they called? That deck, like the
Library?
Code Talkers.
Oh yeah,
They,
Talkers can link.
yeah, they can link
Yeah.
from hand. So it's not like it's a forbidden mechanic or like it's, not used. We
Plus,
could definitely
I,
use that.
I was also inspired by you know the Ghost Rick link monster.
Yes.
Yeah, so that monster says you can link face down monsters. So technically,
Oh.
like the Yu-Gi-Oh rule says you can only link face up monsters. Well, Ghost Rick Festival just says, you can link face down monsters. It's like into this is like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I like being able to bypass a certain game mechanic like that in a way that makes sense for like our deck. It's like we have a lot of bricks in our deck. If we want to be viable, we have to be able to like make those bricks do something, right?
Oh yeah, because as I've said before, like they'll just be games where you open them and you're like, what do I do now? Like you can play the best normal summons, but if you don't see them, like what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Exactly.
let's get into your third card, the Sorcerer of Dark Illusions. A link 2 with a lot of attack. What'd he do?
Yeah, so I was sort of inspired by Anaconda in some ways, but also this card is also like just a lot of utility. So yeah, you could go ahead and read it. Yep.
Alright, will do. So we use 2 DMs on monsters that lists it. You can also use Dark Magician monsters or Palladium monsters in your hand. Alright, great. So very much like the link 1. Your opponent can't target Dark Magician monsters. This card, sorry, I got distracted. Your opponent cannot target Dark Magician monsters. This card points to with card effects. During your main phase, you can send one Dark Magician or card that mentions it from deck to grave, then target one of your banished Dark Magicians or cards that mentions it with a different name than that sent. Place that target at the bottom of the deck, then draw one. I gotta think about that again. So during your main phase, send a DM or card that mentions it from deck to grave. Great, foolish. Target a banished DM or card that mentions it with a different name than the card sent. Place that target on top of the deck, then draw one.
Bottom of the deck. Yeah.
Bottom of the deck, draw one.
So yeah, if you have a banished Soul Servant, you can like literally put your Banished Soul Servants back into your deck. Right?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's big.
Or if you get Bestialed, right, like and they
Yes.
banish your DM, you can now put your DMs. So this is like a utility way of getting some recyclability off of your banished cards.
Yeah, that reminds me of a freaking virtual world interaction again. But yes, I like that because, as you said, this format, bestials as well as the Shizu monsters, they're just banishing everything. And also, we banish Soul Servant naturally by our deck strategy. So this facilitates helping us in the modern meta and also helping just the deck in general. And
Yeah,
we've got more too.
right. Yeah. But
If a spell trap card that mentions DM would be destroyed. Banish this from field of grave. Alright, the Eternal Soul Protector. Here he is.
yeah, I feel like a lot of I mean, there are Link 2s that like the Paleozoics have a Link 2 that does something similar, right? The Runics have that fusion that protects their back row, or at least their important cards. So, yeah, I felt like we needed protection. It's like, unless we're running Solemn Judgments, it's like, if our back row gets blown out, it's like, it feels really bad, right? So this at least like helps you like protect, like keep something on the field. Like even if you lose so this only protects like your DM spells and traps. It doesn't protect anything that's face down, and it doesn't protect like non-DM spell traps. So, Secret Village, can still technically be outed, whatever. But
Yeah.
like by a Nightmare Phoenix. But yeah, and then the other effect which it protects Dark Magician monsters at points to card effects. That's again just me wanting to lose its link arrows to do something, other than just like sitting there. Yeah. So I think all link monsters should do something with their link arrows other than just allow for additional link summons. So that's what that's about.
Yeah, I like that. It makes them way more interesting too.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like the Banished recursion. So basically you mill a card to recycle a banished card into your deck. The card you mill has to be a different name than the card. So you can't just like put Soul Servant back in your deck and immediately mill a Soul Servant. Like,
right.
You need a So otherwise that'd be a little too broken, I think. Yeah, so that's why I said it had to be a different name.
Okay, so yeah, you can just send anything.
And then the fact that allows you to draw. Yeah, so you put a card on your deck and then you draw it. One card. That means you can also chain like another Soul Servant to like put a card on top of your deck that you want to draw, right?
Oh right, yeah, because that'd be for cost, and then you draw at the end, so you can chain your Soul Servant before that, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, so that's the idea. This monster. Yeah, it's just like, well, we don't have Anaconda. It used to be Rod Souls, Anaconda. Now it's like Rod Souls, then what, right?
Yeah, very that.
Yeah, so I felt like just a good, solid utility link monster would to replace Anaconda was the answer.
I dig it. I apologize. I have a massive headache, so I'm just fucking like spaced out. But
It's okay.
I deeply agree with like everything you've said. All these cards would make the deck phenomenal, and you know what? As you said, this would just enable us to compete in the meta. And that's the sad thing, I guess. We'll probably get nothing of this caliber, and we'll still be expected to, try to play. I've been seeing on your channel you've been uploading literally every other deck and having great success. So that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, because I even dropped Eldritch because like now that Bestials are out and like Shizu, it's like Eldritch literally can't play anymore. It's like you get banished or you get shuffled back into the deck. Like
I do feel like Eldritch kind of nailed the Dark Magician gameplay as well. It was like, here's a big ass boss monster and a bunch of back row to like go with it. I feel like that was very much the DM gameplay. I mean, I say this about a lot of archetypes. I say about Invoked as well, where I'm like, hey, look, Dark Spellcaster, normal summon, like, do fusion. But yeah, basically, DM has a lot of conflicting ideas, right? But this definitely
like
supports
really
all
nailing
of them.
down fusions and rituals. Like I don't care about synchronicities and just having like utility links for
Yep.
effects that we really really need.
Yeah, like this Link 1 fixes so much, like so much. And as you said, this replaces a bunch of cards that now no longer have to be in the extra deck. Like, that would be really good. This fusion spell means Circle at 3 is not even that bad. Like, because if Circle can give me this, I want to play Circle.
Because this can add from the Circle. Yeah, I actually almost called the Link 1 Dark Artemis. Yeah, I was so close to naming it Dark Artemis. I'm like, nah, that's way too on the nose. Like
that'd be funny as the 800 attack as well. I should have noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny. That's funny.
But like, nah, it's too on the nose.
I dig it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like one solid spell that can fuse and ritual, one link 2, and I think the deck is like pretty much good to go for a long time. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. I saw like all these other like someone was trying to support Dark Magician Girl archetype, and it's just like, I mean, the Dark Magician Girl deck with like Apple Magician Girl and like Lemon Magician Girl, it just seems so janky and like shitty. It's like
Yeah, that
just
shit
support
was
Dark Magician
weird.
archetype. Yeah. Um. Yeah, but also support with Palladiums, right? Because I feel like the Palladiums are a little too. I mean, ideally we want to get to that sweet +3/+4 draw from Soul Servant, but like,
One day.
and I didn't want to make it too easy, but I'm like, all right, well, here's a way to link your Palladiums if you just open them in hand and like,
I think I made
so
some
it'll
wacky
focus.
custom card at some point. It was like Dark Magical Dingus, and it was just like send 4. You just send all the bricks, and then it like adds a DM spell trap. So you just like,
Yeah, remember that card Snake Rain, which came
yes,
out with the Ogdo? It's like mill 5 reptiles, like or some
yeah,
bullshit like
that's
that.
what
It's
we'll
like,
get.
yeah, like that's how bad like reptiles are supported. Like you can mill 5 reptiles and still feel like it doesn't do
Oh
anything.
yeah, that snake deck came out, and everyone's like, it's gonna be busted with Snake Rain, and it did nothing. The deck literally did nothing with a mill 4.
Yeah, because reptiles are just like sad. So
Yeah, big Sag. All right, hell yeah. Well, your cards are epic.